on. All right, so I split it in half, and I'm gonna pull out the strand of yarn that's still attached to my yarn ball, which isn't much of a yarn ball, and this is why I downgraded our stitch. So instead of using a half double crochet, I opted to use a single crochet, which was probably a good call because this is how much yarn we have left, which means who's to tell that we would have enough yarn left, and we can't guarantee that you'd find a yarn even similarly matched to her here to finish it off. And there's not much of a difference. I'm going to show you how that looks on top of her head, not styled. Here's what we have so far. We're going to style it and all that. That's what that crown looks like. I'm going to use a pin. Looks something like this. Then we're going to add her eyebrows and all the other things, but this is what it looks like so far. Her head also looks bigger here because in my first go around I left off 2 rounds of single crochet because I wanted to preserve, make sure I had enough yarn. Here I didn't do that, but it's still cute. Still cute. Yeah. In the next video, we are going to be assembling everything and finishing off. I want to start to work the detailing of her waist. All right, I have my gray yarn, and what I plan to do is make a slip knot like so. Fold your yarn in half, spin it around, twist it in half, bend it over and pull your yarn through like so, creating a slip knot. Pull at both legs just enough to reduce the size of the loop to needle size, and then you're going to find that waistband. It should be visible. There's a visual transition between the body and the skirt. You're gonna stitch into that, so just find a stitch and go in and out of it like so. All right, then you're gonna do a slip stitch like so, and then the next stitch we're gonna go in and out like so. Catch the yarn, slip stitch, and then continue to do that around. In and out, in and out, in and out. You can see that braided pattern is starting to form. Just keep going. Oops. And be careful not to split your yarn because it creates unnecessary knots. Right. Keep going. And try not to pick up the stuffing either. Almost there. We're going to keep going until we reach the back where we started. Okay, there's one more. All right, and now to join I'm going to insert my hook into the first slip stitch we made, and then I'm going to create another slip stitch around it, like so. And then I'm going to bring this loop up, right? Instead of cutting the yarn, I'm going to bring my remaining piece of yarn through that hole, pull it snugly, and now we create a knot. And we're going to just tuck this piece of yarn here into her body. You can use your crochet hook to do that. Oops. Okay. You want to hide, like tuck away at least 2 inches of it. I'm going to tuck all of it away. All right, so that's done. I'm going to do that for the pink yard as well. Like that. All right, cool. All right, so the reason why I said I just would create a knot with this gray piece of yarn, because we can continue from here to add the crisscross details. I'm going to thread my tapestry needle like so. I'm going to bring the yarn beneath the skirt like so. All right. Okay. Now at random spots throughout, you're going to create this. All right. So I'm going to insert my needle through one of the stitches. I'm going to bring it above, maybe 2 stitches above. So from where I entered, that's 1, and then 2. Well, yeah, so then the 3rd stitch. 1, 2, 3. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I'm feeding my tapestry needle back through to the back of the skirt. All right, now we're gonna create the cross. We're gonna insert our tapestry needle from behind, but in this most right stitch to it, if that makes sense. Let me try to get closer. Yes, okay. So from right here, we're gonna cross over into the left stitch. Okay, that's one little crisscross made. We're gonna move over anywhere you want, but you do want it to be spaced out, and you don't want to make too many of them because you don't have that much yarn left. Okay, so insert your tapestry hook from behind. All right, you want to go over about 2 stitches and insert your tapestry needle over again and into the skirt to the back side, and then from right to left. Okay. All right, I'm gonna move it on. And that was under, now over, right, and left. All right. Under, over, right, and to the left. Okay, and keep going. And be careful not to pull too tightly, because you'll see that we're not stopping at each detail and fastening off. We're not doing that. So we're using one continuous strand, and to make it look nice and not jagged everywhere, we're not going to pull the yarn too tightly in between details. Okay, oops, right to left. So this one is really trial and error for you. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially if you're a beginner. Just do what feels comfortable. And if you just want to skip over this part altogether, that's perfectly okay. I definitely understand. Oops, see, tucking really tightly. Almost done. I'm just gonna keep going until my yarn runs out. Or at least until I'm satisfied. All right, I'm pretty much satisfied. I'm gonna fasten off. Your underside is not gonna look very neat. This is what it'll look like roughly. And then you're just gonna find a piece of yarn and just create a knot around it. I would double knot it just to make sure that it stays secure. And maybe you wanna weave that in closer to the body and in through the body as well to hide it. Like so. And then you can cut off the excess. All right, so her details on her skirt and waistband are done. Now we're gonna attach her arms. All right, so we're gonna use that long yarn end that we left, and we're going to thread our tapestry needle. We're gonna press on her body up top. This will be her shoulder, right? So you want to put her arms on to the right and left part of her shoulder. So to find that, you're gonna find the most right stitch and most left stitch. Yeah. Right here is her, at least my right stitch on the right. So just create a knot like so. I went in and out of that stitch on her body. Now I'm going to go in and out on the stitch on her arm, and I'm going to do that a few times to really secure it. All right, that's one. I'm going to do it again. Oops. gonna go over 2 stitches as a matter of fact. So this, like that. Through her arm, and then back through her body. I'm gonna create a knot here. I'm gonna do a double knot. Oops. So I didn't create that long of an end. If you didn't either, you're probably gonna have to rethread your tapestry hook a few times, and that's okay. Okay, that's my second knot, and now I'm going to just tuck that remaining piece of yarn into her body, and I'm going to cut off the excess. All right. So make sure you place her arm onto the skin tone yarn of her body and not the pink. All right, do the next one. You can turn her on her back, pinch, and in the rightmost stitch, that's where you're gonna put this here. Over these 2, as a matter of fact. There's gonna be 1 and 2. I would work over those 2 stitches. Right, I'm gonna thread my tapestry needle again. And I'll do like a little close up. I'm going in and out the first stitch, and then I'm going through the arm, in and out of the stitch on the arm, and then I'm going in and out of the other stitch, and then going in and out of the arm again. And then I'm going to create a knot. Two knots. And then I'm going to tuck the yarn. And the tapestry needle makes it really easy for you to tuck your yarn. Right, now I'm going to cut off any excess. Alright, so her arms are on. Alright, so I cut off too much yarn after making the crown, so I'm gonna see if I have some extra gray. I don't think I do. Alright, so what I'll do instead is I'll use the remaining string from her hair to stitch down the crown. I hope that looks good. Just in case it does look good, I'm gonna, continue recording. Alright, so right now this is where we left off. I'm just gonna bring my tapestry needle from under to the top. Try not to get the hair strands tangled. Okay. Alright, so in and out. We're going in and out each stitch on the crown, and then we're fastening it to the hair, and also going as low as to capture the stitch below the hair as well. I hope that makes sense. So just do it the best you can, and then just keep lifting her hair to make sure that you went all the way through to her scalp. I'll say that. So in and out of each stitch on the crown, through her hair and through her scalp. So maybe not every single stitch on the crown, but just enough stitches to keep the crown fastened. All right, I'm going nice low. In and out. Down. All right, as I'm lifting the crown, I see that I don't have much more to stitch. This is the last stitch I'm going to work into. Here, I'm gonna go down to the scalp and pull. And how do I know for sure that my crown is secure, my tiara is secured? I'm gonna pull that sewing needle I had in there out, and you see it's not falling off. It's fastened. All right, so now I'm gonna remove the needles I have holding her hair down. And her hair is on her head now, but if you have some more yarn left, which I do, you can go around her hairline and go in and out of each stitch all the way down to the scalp and keep, just use it up, and that'll really secure her hair to her head. But it's not necessary, but it doesn't hurt. Okay, just keep going in and out. And again, the other option is to just get some E6000 glue and glue her hair down. You can glue the crown down too, and I think it dries clear. So even if you make like a little bit of a mess, it'll be hidden. All right. And I apologize in advance if I am moving too fast for you. I can't help it sometimes, especially when I feel like I can show it better than I can tell it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna fasten off here because I've made a complete circle. I'm gonna double knot, and then I'm gonna tuck the end into her head. Yeah, and we're going to cut the excess. All right, I'm also going to fasten off these strands that are on her head by knotting them together twice. I'm not gonna cut it yet. I'm gonna use my crochet hook, insert it into the head, and I'm gonna catch the end strands. I'm gonna go just up under the crown, like this, and then I'm gonna catch those undone ends and pull it into my work. Could be a little tough. You might want to do one strand at a time. All right, so I'll do that. All right, so one. Okay, so for some reason my hook is getting stuck, but you get the point. least I think you get the point. Alright, so boom. One strand hidden, next one. Alright. No more strands, except for this random one here. Pull that in. Okay. Whew, that was a lot. And then you can just combine her locks together like this. And just style it the way that you want it to be. Right. Next, we're going to add the details of her face, which is the eyebrow, the lashes, and optional, the nose. All right, to create her eyebrows, we're going to use our brown yarn. I already have my tapestry needle threaded. All right, so we're gonna go just above her eyeballs, and we're gonna insert our tapestry needle from right to left, spanning about 3 stitches long. All right, so right to left. And we're gonna just make a horizontal line. All right, so we have it inserted beneath. Now we're gonna cross over and insert our tapestry needle right into the right stitch that we worked in the first time. All right, and instead of coming back up into our left stitch, we're gonna come over to our furthest most left stitch above her. This was technically her right eye, okay? Like that. And you don't need to pull too tight, okay? Now we're gonna just make sure it's where it needs to be. Oh, yeah, you wanna make sure it's on the same row, okay? I'm gonna go above. All right, so we're gonna come over 3 stitches, like so. And then we're gonna insert our needle from right to left. Come out through this stitch. All right, her eyebrows should make her look neutral. She has a neutral face. All right, that's good enough for me. You can reposition it however you see fit, but this is the basics of how you would, you know, fasten it to her face. And then I'm going to just do it again, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take this strand, I'm going to feed it over this one. I'm going to go in this stitch, but come out of this stitch. I don't have the exact number, row and stitch. I just chose it at random, right? So I'm gonna go into this one again, but this time I'm going to go and come out of a random stitch, right? Like so. And then again, you don't want to pull too tightly. Now I'm gonna find a way to make this stitch meet this thread. So what you can do is bring it down and then feed it through this stitch. But I'm not going to be tying it to any of these stitches. I'm just going to be tying these strands together. I'm going to cut it. Like I just want to tie these strands together. I'm going to double knot it, and then I'm going to use my crochet hook to tuck them into her head. Alright, all good. Alright, so this is what we have so far. She looks just a little concerned. That's okay. Alright, now we're going to continue with her lash. for her lash, they gave us this embroidery thread. All right, I'm gonna use my tapestry needle again, thread it, and then I'm going to go 1 stitch below her eyebrow on the so we started with her eyebrow, we started on the right. In that right stitch, we're gonna go 1 stitch below, like so. We're gonna go into that stitch and out just beneath her eyeball, but to the left. So that could look like 1 stitch below her eyebrow on the other side, but I'm not sure. Let's see. No, so I'm trying to go as far behind the eyeball as possible because we want to hide this stitch. It'll get hidden anyways because of how thin it is. You'll see. Okay. We're in. And then we're just gonna go over and through that stitch again and back out the second stitch. Like this. And then you could just create a knot here. And you don't have to do it how I do it, but create 2 knots like so. And then I'm going to go into the first stitch and go over to the next eyeball. So I'm just 1 stitch below the outermost stitch of her eyebrow, right? And then I'm gonna come under her eye like this. Right, so I'm into the stitch and I'm gonna come right back out the stitch that I went into in the first place. Oops. Like so, and I'm gonna go do that again. I'm going over and behind the eye. Okay, and then I'm gonna come out where this end is. All right. At this point, I'm going to cut my yarn and I'm going to create 2 knots like so, and then I'm going to use my crochet hook to hide the ends. All right, so you shouldn't see the knot, but here she is. Okay, not bad. You can use the box as guidance. This is also what I did in my first version of her. Actually not exactly, so what you actually want to be doing is have it slant down more. Yeah, down more here. But this is what we got. It's okay. All right, next we are going to do her nose. You're gonna want to grab your skin tone color yarn, which is what I used. And you're just gonna need a little piece of it. Oops. This. Use your tapestry hook. I mean, not your tapestry hook, but your tapestry needle. Thread your yarn. Find a center stitch and then work into that. Yeah. But I'm gonna go over 2 stitches though. Right? This is it might not be centered, but it's okay. So I'm gonna go around those 2 stitches about 3 times. Right, so this is 1. last one is 3. All right, and I'm gonna go under to meet my other end of yarn, and I'm gonna create 2 knots. I'm gonna use my crochet hook. First off, I'm gonna cut off the excess because I don't need that much. I'm gonna use my crochet hook to tuck the strands beneath or into her head. All right, so this is what we have. All right. All right, we got Glinda A and Glinda B. Which is your favorite?